following items be approved, the city manager be authorized to execute all documents necessary for each transaction. A, the approval of Amarillo Economic Development Corporation projects. B is the approval of aviation clear zone easements. And C is the dedication and acceptance. Are there any items that need to be removed for separate consideration by the commission? If not, these items, the approval of the Economic Development Corporation project, we'd like to ask Mr. Buzz David to come forward and tell us a little bit more about item A.
Certainly, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. It's been a while since I've been here. I don't remember how we do this. I'm sorry about that. We brought 3 projects to you for consideration this week. The first deals with a grant to International Paper here locally that essentially offsets the increased cost of the taxes associated with a $2 million piece of equipment. While this doesn't create any specific new jobs, it does enable the companies here locally to remain competitive and make their facilities that much more efficient and certainly compete in the world out there. In this case, like in all cases, there was a decision that had to be made by the companies whether or not to invest here locally. Our assistance on this and with your support will make that investment possible. And it's a small amount. Why don't I do number 3 first, the Texas A&M Agri-Life Research and Extension Center. They have asked us for some matching funds to help construct a new greenhouse. The greenhouse that they use for research and development purposes supports our agricultural industry in the region. A lot of the things that they do at the Agri-Life Research Center is very directly related to different things that go on here as far as different crops that are grown, and it helps our farming community, ranching community do a better job and be more effective and more prosperous. So that would be for a grant of half the price, $87,500 from our funds, to be matched by funds from the Texas A&M Center. The third project, which seems to have garnered a lot of interest recently, would be approval of a contract which we have gone through the process that our board are looking at for expansion and some renovations to the existing former Zargus building in the Centerport Business Park to relocate the Coca-Cola distribution center that is currently downtown to that park. This project accomplishes 2 pretty specific goals. It enables us to take a building that's been vacant for some time after Zargus left us, put it back in service. It's ideally located from a distribution standpoint, so the opportunity to move Coca-Cola from its current location for the furtherance of the redevelopment projects downtown will provide them with a facility that will be well suited from a transportation access standpoint and from an efficiency standpoint, since the building is in very light new condition and it'll certainly make a more efficient operation. We see this opportunity as happening at exactly the right time with the goals and objectives of the community as far as the redevelopment program goes. Coca-Cola was very easy to work with on this. They did not come to us, we went to them. And this project enables them to continue to have a significant presence in the community in a new facility and free up the land downtown for redevelopment purposes. And we would urge your consideration. This project, as far as the construction cost, which is almost $4 million, $3.989603, was bid locally, and the low bid was Southwest General Contractors. I know Gary Purser's here today, but we're confident they will do an outstanding job of refurbishing that facility, making some modifications and making it more efficient than it is now. I can answer any questions if you have on any of the projects.
While you're on the bid, one comment about there being a cap, if you will, on y'all's part of that contract, the AEDC's part of that contract.
Well, that is a contract for a guaranteed maximum price. We have a construction manager at risk here. That will, we believe very confidently, will do the job. You know, there's some other things related to it. We have to take care of relocation of some facilities and things like that. But this is the construction portion of the contract.
And Mr. David, I think it's important to note that we approached Coca-Cola, and they were very helpful to work with us, not put us at an extreme disadvantage, because we obviously published very openly what our plans are for downtown. And they worked with us very carefully to make sure talking to the people with Coca-Cola through your office, that they have changed their process a lot, and this will be a lot more productive area for them and send them forward as good partners in Amarillo for a long time in the future. But it also accomplishes a considerable amount for our redevelopment plans, and also furthers the growth out of the business park that you all have developed, and it's growing leaps and bounds. If we think about what happened when we relocated Benny Keith, and we took that area for our service center, eventual expansion of our service center, that was a win-win. And they have done nothing but grow and expand their business out there. We hope for that same type of thing for Coca-Cola, because as they grow and expand, we grow, and we have that other motive to be able to develop downtown in a way. It's also limited our negotiations with one owner, because we literally own all the other property we needed to make this development work, where we won't be negotiating with a plethora of 7, 8, 9, 12 owners, whatever it is, to accomplish the same land mass at the other site in Amarillo. So I think we've accomplished something we set out to do a long time ago with your all's help. We appreciate your board's work, and we'll take action on that in just a moment. Any other comments?
I also would like to note that I appreciate the fact that you have retained businesses here. You're working with local businesses who are well established. And the part I like the best is like the Texas A&M AgriLife Research and Extension Center. They got half the money from another source, and we're funding half of that. And they are crucial to not only Amarillo, but to the Panhandle for the work that they do out there in Bushland. So thank you for working with our existing businesses so that they can have successful futures too.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, I had a question from a citizen about not Coca-Cola, but Zargas. Remind us, when Zargas left, did they reimburse the money that they owed the ABC?
Well, Zargas had a lease on that building, and I think if we could have had a long, drawn-out negotiation, we certainly could have done more to hold their feet to the fire. But because of the state of the industry, because of their inability to be competitive in the United States, they were not going to stay in the United States. They left with a very sizable payment to us that would, for all the time they had used the facility. We still own the building. We can make it available for redevelopment now. So unfortunately, those types of projects you're never happy about, but maybe this will take it and move it to new heights and so forth. The irony of this project is with Coca-Cola leaving there, I looked back at the project number. We started talking with them 18 months ago, not last week or last month or even last year. Actually started at the end of 2012. And the Zargas building wasn't available at that time. It just became available and became a very logical solution for a problem that would help us clear up some property for downtown and make the whole redevelopment process a lot more fluid, a lot more successful, unfortunately.
I look on it as a very successful swap for our city.
Exactly. And in this case, Coca-Cola will end up with a facility that will have some renovation and expansion, and we will end up with 3.5 acres downtown for redevelopment that we'll make available to the city at reasonable costs. I don't know what time. But as redevelopment projects go, this is about as smart a way of doing it as I think is possible, because dealing with lots of different owners and lots of different thoughts and ideas about things is always very difficult.
You know, I don't think it hurts to recount, too, that this is not coming from property tax money. This is coming from a small percentage of sales tax money. And one of the interesting things that I really had difficulty grasping when I first came into office is 60% of the sales tax money that we collect in this city is garnered from people who live outside the city limits. So it furthers the regional responsibility that we help regionally. And with what we have planned for downtown, I think we'll see some real effort regionally to support this and build a tax base that is growing very well, but will grow even more with this kind of ability to grow our downtown and help the entire city.
Yes, sir. I think this just reinforces the fact that we need to be mindful of our surrounding communities and their value to this community as far as from a shopping standpoint and lots of other reasons. But it helps that we all work together. It makes a big difference.
Well, to think those people in the outlying communities basically kicked in about 60% of the money in your funds,
Exactly.
that's pretty interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Good work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments from anyone regarding these issues on the consent agenda? Certainly, sir, if you'd like to come forward. We'd like to limit these comments to 3 minutes if we could.
Oh, just a question.
Sir,
Alan Abraham, resident of, well,
is your address?
7205 Southwest 35th.
Thank you.
The titles, are we giving up the title at Center Point to Coca-Cola? And who's going to have the title for the property downtown?
Mr. David, would you explain that clearly to us? I believe I know the answer, but I prefer you to explain.
But it essentially becomes a property swap. Coca-Cola will have the title to the building in Centerport, the title to the property downtown. Excuse me?
Who will?
Coca-Cola, the company that moves in there, in exchange for their property downtown, which is essentially equal value. That will be, we'll hold the title to that and then ultimately transfer that to the city for redevelopment projects.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Any other questions? Yes, sir, if you'd like to come forward and state your name and address, please.
My name is Terry Bachman. My address is 1409 Southwest 62nd. I guess my concern is, why should we, the city of Amarillo,
Sir, if you address the commission at the proper, don't address the audience, please.
yeah, why should we, help Coke, with this? Coke has enough money, why should we be helping them? Plus, my other concern is with this baseball stadium, is it going to be, are we still going to be able to have free games? I mean, a lot of people on fixed incomes, by the time you go, you get tickets, and I just don't see why we should be helping Coke when Coke makes enough money to do this themselves. And one of my concerns with downtown is, why don't we fix up the Civic Center first so we can get more concerts, because we're losing a lot of money to Lubbock for concerts and stuff. And that's just one of my, main concerns is, why should we help Coke, I mean, with the, with this.
Of course, we want to help successful businesses, i.e. Bell Helicopter and other businesses that come to our town, because they are successful. They will enhance our community, retain a relationship that is long-standing, and help us grow our economy. So those are all important factors of the growth of the city over the next few years. We think that being able to develop that property was essential to the development of downtown. We believe, I think, from our prior commitment to downtown, that we are furthering the whole entire community and the growth of that community. Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Yes, sir, please, if you'd like to come up. How are you today?
Commissioners, thank you. I have a question also.
You can give your name and
Oh,
address.
sorry. Sometimes I forget it, so I thought I'd go on in my 3 minutes and lessen it. My name is Fred Dowling. I'm a proud citizen here in Amarillo in 4503 Mesa Circle area. My question involves, when I moved here a few years back from California, I had heard that this was going on and wanted to know more about it. So the specific question is, Coca-Cola I'd heard about, there may be other businesses that perhaps downtown are going to be involved in this new vision that you have of the city. Is this being dragged out just one business at a time, or are there a couple other businesses that are involved that might be relocated also besides Coca-Cola?
Now, are you talking in regards to the
To the
the
downtown
site?
area, I'm sorry.
Well, the site that Coca-Cola is giving us is a prime piece where, in the projects that we've talked about so far, they were the only piece of property that we needed to be able to complete those projects.
Okay.
The 3 projects that are on the board right now for work are the hotel, the parking garage, and an IMPEV, which is really a ballpark, but it would be more than a ballpark. It would be 57 nights of all games, potentially a year, and 150 nights of other events. To accomplish those 3 things, the only piece of property that we needed was all held by Coca-Cola. So that property was what we were trying to conclude this agreement with. And no further plans have been finalized about any other thing, because one of the great things about what we're promoting is that it is primarily a private investment towards downtown. One of the great things about what's happened downtown, proof in the pudding of what the tier zone has done, is values in downtown, well, they only went up 2% over a 20-year period. Now, in the time period the tiers has been in effect, properties in downtown have gone up over 38%. And so we see the growth coming, but we haven't finalized, because it's obviously very fluid, what would happen next. We have ideas about what would happen next, and certainly they'll be proposed to citizens. This first project, what we have said as a commission is that the property tax rate would not go up to further these. Now, obviously, some monies that come into the city are used to develop those things, but those things are primarily being done by private sources. One of the reasons it's taking longer to deal with those is because we're trying to get private investment. Other cities have supported them wholeheartedly, taken it right out of all the tax money, and it's progressed maybe a little quicker. But we think we have a great way to go if we can get this all finished.
Mayor, I appreciate it, and I think my point was, I understand what you're saying about Coca-Cola. I think that's generous, and I think Coca-Cola is well pleased. But I thought I'd heard Mr. Sims at one point mention something. He had purchased the building a few years back, and that his may be part of that particular someday, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, unless I misunderstood.
No, you misunderstood.
Okay, I thought it was a big
You misunderstood.
building. Okay.
I don't know where you heard that one, because
I thought it was him. I'm
you're
sorry.
incorrect.
Okay, then I stand in.
Good.
The building I own is home.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, then it must have been somebody else who was here.
There's plenty of rumors floating around.
Yeah,
But the
and
real truth is that the values in downtown for all property owners, this is another interesting thing. Did you know in the tier zone downtown, take a guess at how many different various property owners there are in downtown in the tier zone? Over 1,000. Over 1,000 benefit from this growth. Just as, you know, I have a small business, I'd love to see the value of that go up 38% in a short period of time. And so we are driving something that is, it's a little nebulous, but there's really some proof in the pudding of what's happening.
Okay, I apologize then to you. I thought someone had, right downtown by Coca-Cola in
You
one
don't
street.
always want to read all the blogs.
I don't, believe me, I don't. But then there are no other buildings you know of that are going to be affected, either 1, 2.
Not at this
3, 4.
point. We hope there are. We hope.
Okay.
Now, let me give you another example. Interesting example. In downtown Oklahoma City, the voters committed to spend $292 million in a referendum that said they have a different method for collecting that tax, but they said, here's a list of priorities that we want, things we want to see happen in downtown Oklahoma City. Now, we're not Oklahoma City, but it's a good example. And they spent $292 million over about 14 years of taxes collected to enhance their downtown. And guess what that generated? It generated over $315 billion worth of growth in downtown Oklahoma City because of that investment. All seeing a vibrant economy, seeing growth, and it's a place, we won't be Oklahoma City, won't be Dallas, don't want to be, but we do want to see our downtown come back. When it was regressing, when it was beginning to cost the city even to be around downtown with no growth, we felt it was imperative to see that growth pattern change, and we've seen it change. We hope in the next 2 years, is I think why a lot of us ran for office again, that we can find the proof in the pudding and get these things, shovels in the ground and get things going. So
Well, Mayor,
we're excited.
And I didn't mean to say I wasn't excited or want to see
I
it
understand.
grow. I just wanted to know if there's a few other businesses that may be on the docket to have to relocate.
No, there's plenty of owners that would like to, I think.
Oh,
but we
yeah.
don't know of any right now.
I'd be one.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
And to clarify, Mayor, your small business is not downtown either.
Oh, no, it's not quite downtown, but I'd love to see Grand Street. I'd like to see any part of the city keep going. Anyone else, please? Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Robert Goodrich, 6510 Sandy Drive, Amarillo, Texas. Good afternoon.
Welcome.
I think it's really exciting, and I'd love to see activity just expand exponentially downtown, and I hope you're aware that I'm trying to make a serious contribution to that effort. If you would be so kind as to simply give permission to the Tiers Board to act favorably on a petition I have submitted in support of developing the Herring Hotel in downtown Amarillo. For some reason, the Tiers Board does not act on my request because they have been given instructions not to by you and or the city commissioners, and I don't think that's square. I want to make a serious contribution to downtown development. So that's another issue, and I trust you'll take that up at an appropriate time. You'll act favorably upon that request and encourage the Tiers Board to respond favorably to my request for support. The other issue is a decision to be made about this matter that you put before us today. My concern is to be an informed citizenry. We're confronted with this matter somewhat quickly. There's been no preparatory dialogue or language or reports on this coming forward. So it's hard to make a reasoned response to it without time for a little bit of study. And I would like to ask that you be so kind as to give citizens a chance to digest this, think about it a little bit, decide what kind of response might be made before you act on it officially and formally.
I think we, excuse me, go ahead.
And so that's a request I would make. And the third issue is, I thought that things that were going to be done downtown were to be paid for by Wallace Pajoli. Why is it you're spending over $3 million of taxpayer money, no matter the source, as the lower sales tax? Why are you spending taxpayer money for a project that Wallace Pajoli is supposed to be financing? So I look forward to hearing responses.
I think there's some misconstruing of what happened. In fact, back about a year and a half ago, we made a decision to publish very carefully what our plans were. And in fact, there's a lovely picture of all three projects down in the lobby as you enter this building, which have been posted for about a year and a half. So I don't think it's quite right to say we have been not forthcoming in all of our plans. They have been there posted on the wall, and I have taken them to numerous events to talk about what they are. And I think that it's very transparent what we were, in fact, we were bargaining with Coke with those plans on the wall, which was not always difficult. And again, I'm glad that the Economic Development Group was able to arrive at something beneficial to both parties. So thank you, Mr. Goodrich, I appreciate it.
And as one perspective you offer, Mayor, but I would suggest that you've also said many times, you and others on the commission and members of the Wallace Pajoli team have reported to this community many times that all the downtown development revitalization projects that the city is interested in would be paid for by them with private.
No, we never said that, Mr. Goodrich. My statements have always been very specifically, and you go back and pull the records, that we were not raising taxes to do these developments. And I said very specifically, there were certain things that we were doing within the city to promote this. And in fact, some other cities, most other cities, I think all cities, trying to build a downtown hotel have supported that a lot more directly with tax money. And so we are looking for private investment to do those things. And so while none of these can be really defined specifically as negotiations are going on, they have been pretty well seen in the public, and we've had a lot of public meetings about what we plan to do. And we've had great support from the community on this. So thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to remind everyone that the hotel money was by Wallace Pajoli, but the garage and the MPEV money was to come by through by public dollars.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And just to clarify that, it wasn't a further, Wallace Pajoli's commitment was to arrange the financing for the
Right.
hotel. And so that was always the way, and that's really from the original perspective.
Yes,
That's
correct.
That was described.
Correct.
So they're arranging it with taxpayer dollars, is that right? Is that what
No,
you're
sir, we didn't say that, and for you to put that in just in the tail end is not really fair.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm trying to deal with what I can see spontaneously.
But as you said, you sort of misconstrued that a minute ago. You said, well, I didn't
may
make
have.
it. Thank you, sir.
Any chance you'll give us a little time to review this and think about it before you
I
formally?
think we'll act on this item today.
Sir?
I believe we'll act on this item today.
Okay.
Unless somebody views it tabling it or putting it off. We'll see what the commission's purview is.
I wish you'd encourage the Tiers Board not to table matters and act on them when they're presented, because I've had a matter pending there for almost a year that they've tabled and haven't acted on. So I'd appreciate a little encouragement, Mayor.
I understand. Thank you.
Just one other comment I'd like to make. Mr. Goodrich, you own a beautiful facility down there,
Thank you.
and I'm confident that at some point in the future, that's gonna be part of downtown development for the people of Amarillo, and because heaven forbid anything should ever happen here.
Well, thank you very much.
As far as the Tiers Board goes and their chairman, they're pretty much free thinkers, and they make those decisions, and I'll tell you, the city commission doesn't directly influence how the Tiers makes their decisions. They're an independent body.
But they do look at what we've done. We made public record out of the fact that we support the vision that's down on the wall posted down there. And they know of that support, and know what that entails. So certainly, they have to look at that and say, how does this support that effort, which we publicly voted on and said we will work towards. Thank you, Mr. Goodrich.
Thank you so much for your
Certainly.
responses. I appreciate it a lot.
Sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Miles Forster. I live at 22 Long Street. And a question that came to mind with me, and this stems from something that another one of these in attendance brought up earlier, is this property out at Centerport, to which the title would be transferred to Coca-Cola. What is the investment right now at the city of Amarillo and where AEDC has that property?
Be happy to have Mr. David.
I mean, just ballpark. I mean,
What's the investment in the property?
yes,
As it currently sits?
yes, what was paid to build it, might less what the artist paid to rent to build up now.
The building that we refer to out there as the Dargis building was $4.5 million to build. Dargis paid us $540,000 in rents for the time they occupied the building. The building is now about 3 years old, so the depreciated value is probably now under $4 million. If you add that to the dollars to do the expansion and the renovation and so forth, we're over around $8 million. According to the documents we've seen, the value that we're trading for is pretty much comparable for the Coca-Cola property downtown, which will then be deeded to the city at some point.
And your board looked at all of that as part of this.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So the property that the city of your speaking is worth approximately $8 million as it sits right now.
It will be after it's renovated. You're talking about the downtown property?
Right.
For redevelopment purposes, yes.
As far as for renovating that property, is it just going to be level, back to dirt, to be rebuilt? Is that?
It will be, right.
Okay. Well, that's fine. I was just trying to clarify and think about that. And so in effect, this is an $8 million investment that the city is making to do part of the property here.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Go.
If not,
I'm probably out of order now. Speaking twice of the same issue. Alan Abraham, 7205 Southwest 35th. I think the exchanges that have just taken place between the people in the know and the people that want to know illustrates that nobody knows, the citizens don't know what's going on in this deal. I hope the press is here. Who is the press? I don't see him. I hope the press is here.
They're here.
I hope they're opening up these facts and figures. The citizens would like to know what kind of deals you're making.
I think they
You,
did
the
that
commission, that
very
has to
well
approve
Sunday.
it.
Sure.
Right.
I think they did that very well Sunday with the article too, so.
And I would like to say, Mr.
No, I
Abraham,
read Sunday's paper.
and that's why we're here today. That's why we're here today, Mr. Abraham. That's why we're here to talk about
Okay,
this.
well, I hope it's reported to the citizens.
Great.
I mean, we're in the dark.
Great. Any other comments? If there's no other comments on this.
Excuse me,
Sir.
Robert Tolliver, 4400 Southwest 3rd Avenue in Amarillo, Texas. I saw the article in Sunday's Amarillo Globe newspaper. And after being here 4 years and being around town, the headline really jumped out and grabbed me. And I like to think that I'm at least somewhat informed about downtown development, what's going on in our city, because it doesn't encompass that many square miles. have been here 4 years, 4.5 years, have had no idea of any dealings with the Coca-Cola bottling company and moving out toward Loop 335, which frankly I don't think is a bad idea. I think there's maybe some negative spending, but that all comes out with the accounting department. I believe what I am hearing is there has been a very serious lack of ongoing communication between tiers, the AED, the commissioners, and the body public. There have been so many issues of late that the public and the commissioners have debated in this chamber that it seems very, very clear communication is lacking, and there's a great depth of interest and care about our community that the public feels they're kind of left in the dark or being informed after the fact, or this is the way it's going to be, please like it. That we don't have a voice, while you 5, 6 individuals get to make the legislative decisions and policies for the city of Amarillo, in which you are entrusted to do, and we elected you. I didn't vote. That it is nice for us, the people of the city of Amarillo on this side of the road and outside this building, to feel like we have some ownership in this city. That our voice really is being heard, and not just by subcommittees, but by the individuals that make the decisions. I know your intention is to vote on this today. However, in hearing what the gentleman said and hearing some of the debates, I'm for the move. I don't like the dollars, big deal. But because of the concern of the citizens, I think it would behoove you to table this for at least 1 or 2 more meetings until you are able to communicate the facts and figures.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver. And I would like to, excuse me, your time is up, sir. And I would like to comment that, go ahead and take your seat if you would, when your time is up. Thank
Well,
you.
no, but if you direct any comments to me, I can't rebut them if I leave the stand. That's parliamentary procedure, Mr. Mayor.
I have been to dozens of public meetings with the presentation, as is demonstrated down in the public lobby, and has been there for over 1.5 years. And I've received unbelievable favorable comments that would counter, in my mind, these handful of comments about procedures and not about what is happening. As you said in your own words, you support this. I have seen undeniable support. And I said it as I was campaigning what was transpiring. It's obvious when you look at those pictures that we're going to be dealing with Coca-Cola. We actually made the public statement that put us a little disadvantaged, but they were generous with us, as I see it. Put us at a disadvantage in negotiating at first because everyone knew that was the area where the MPEB, the ballpark, would be. And that's an important piece of the whole puzzle because the hoteliers, when we first looked at this, said we need some other outdoor activity to sustain the transformation of a civic center into a convention center. So I would tell you that I'm it's very interesting to me and very important to me to hear the public comments. And I have heard those over the last 2 years at a number of meetings where I've put those pictures up on the board myself and had hundreds of people in the audience and received minor questions. And at the end, anyone that had a question came to me and said, we're glad that you're doing this, we're glad you're moving forward. We don't just meet at these meetings. We go out in the public as you do. We take the pulse of people everywhere. And then we have an election where if someone can say that these aren't the right way to go, they can run against us and they can win. We have just canvassed an election where the vote was overwhelming, and I think it was 2 years ago, that we want to move forward with downtown. This is a critical piece of downtown. We're proud that they have done this, and I will happily, in my view, unless unless someone else tables it, act on this today with a clear understanding of what people in this community want, beyond what the comments were here today. It is not the only comments I've received, nor would I try and take this action with receiving only a handful of comments like we've seen today. I take this action receiving input for over 2 years and hundreds of people recounting to me that they want us to go forward. So thank you very much. But I believe we've done the duty of looking at what the electorate wants and what the citizens want. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Mr. Mayor, just as a reminder, maybe Jared could, or Jim, or Brian could talk about the amount of public hearings that we had before we voted to implement this plan, and I believe it was August 2011, wasn't it? 2011. As a new commission, we voted to implement the plans that we're working on today. And before that, there were, I don't know how many public hearings. 80 public hearings?
Well, of all sorts, if you consider all the different organizations that discuss these issues, it was something in that range.
I believe that would be correct. This commission considered the 3 downtown projects that we commonly speak of on August the 23rd, 2011. That's the date at which this body considered it for action. Prior to that point, it was heard, I believe, twice in public hearing format before this body in the month of August. It was heard by the Tiers Board, by Center City of Amarillo, by Downtown Amarillo Incorporated. There may have been a couple of other bodies from that August time frame, specifically not to hear the concept, but to hear the plan. And the plan being the hotel, the garage, and the MPEP. Included with that by the end of July, and certainly through August, were the conceptual locations, the conceptual drawings, the overall project budgets, sources and uses of funding. All of that was out there. That did result in the model and the drawings that you see downstairs in this lobby. Going back in time from July back through February, hearings held at numerous locations throughout the city, at the Amarillo Civic Center, a couple of focus group meetings that I attended. There were some that I didn't get to. Very large meeting held at the Amarillo College Business and Industry Center that I recall with probably 200 plus people in attendance at that point. Couldn't begin to guess how many civic clubs and other presentations that were made. Those were conducted primarily by Wallace Bajali, but also by those other partner agencies, Tiers, the Downtown Amarillo, the Amarillo Local Government Corporation, and all that. So, Commissioner, I do think that 80 number is probably quite fair. Prior to that, interestingly enough, because I've had cause lately to go back and look, the downtown strategic action plans, all of that, those were developed back starting in 2006, 2007. The tiers plan, which is required by law, you put tiers in place that establishes the goals, the projects that they need to fund, and the type of activity that they're trying to generate. Somebody that makes a living getting plans prepared, plans approved, and then trying to implement such plans over a period of time. Very pleased to see how closely all of that is tracked and how those notions, some developed by third-party experts, not from here, many developed by a very large citizens committee from here in Amarillo, and how that's kept up. So the concepts were brought back in 2007. They've certainly been narrowed in. As we got to August of 2011, they became the plans that we discussed and that we work on today. And certainly one of which results in the desire to use that Coca-Cola property in downtown for the redevelopment. So that's been there.
In that plan in August 2011, it states in black and white that the MPEP should be put where the Coca-Cola plant is. So this is not news today.
Well, all of the location drawings show that.
And I would correct you, it's in living color.
It's in
down there
color.
on the living color.
It's been there for 20 months, so the color might not be quite as vibrant as what it once was.
Mr. Atkinson, thank you for your explanation. I guess the grit in my question did not have to do with the development plans and everything that has been put together and the visioning for the downtown, but was the the sense of, even if the information was out there, there seems to be a concern about not knowing where or how the funding for this is going to come about. I, for one, just noticed after coming up here numerous times the drawing, but I didn't, and not to nitpick, but I did not see on the drawing where the Coca-Cola plant was, and quite literally, I'm sorry, I'm geographically challenged, the day before Monday, I went and drove around and took a wrong turn and stumbled across the location of the Coca-Cola plant. So I drive around in ignorance of Amarillo, and I just beg your forgiveness on that. But, while it may be clear to many more individuals than me, surely I'm not the only one that's dazed and confused. Thank you for letting me speak. I appreciate your tolerance.